Hello everyone, I'd like to talk about a subject that I feel quite passionate about, which is bullying, and it's related to what I believe is the promotion of bullying on British television in recent years. Now, I may have made a similar video to this in the past, I can't quite recall. I've made a lot of videos on YouTube, but to be honest, the issue is important enough to re-emphasize it anyway, and I might raise new issues in this. I think the first thing we have to do is establish what exactly is bullying, because if I'm being honest, it's a word that does get thrown around a little bit. Well, to my reckoning, bullying is when someone or a group of people, quite often it's a group of people, and this is something that I believe is hugely underrated. We have to think of bullies as individuals. Actually, more often than not, it's a group attacking an individual, whether verbally or physically, more often verbally in fact. And making that person's life so humiliating, so embarrassing, that they can't function. And it's often a case of, well, what is bullying, what isn't? Is it a case of, a tough employer demanding results? Is that bullying? Is it, someone has a temper problem and take it out on someone who's in a more junior position? Is that bullying? It's important to establish what bullying is. I would say, if someone has a temper problem and they snap at someone, that's not necessarily bullying if they apologise at a later time. That's not bullying. But if someone is deliberately trying to humiliate another person, to make them feel like shit, to try and tear them down every time, especially if it's a group on an individual, that is most certainly the definition of bullying. I think there's this caricature of bullies as A, always being older, not true. A, always being always being in a more senior position than their victim. That's not necessarily the case. You could have a case where employees actually bully their boss. I don't think we should rule that out. Bullying is an abstract thing. Anyway, what I've noticed in recent years is that British television, whilst it still retains a lot of quality, we have some very good documentaries. I believe we still have very high quality TV. Still, despite phone hacking, we still have quite a lot of standard quality journalism. I still think there's been a very unsettling trend in recent years. Now, American TV, I would argue a lot of it's trash, and TV from around the world, but I don't think we can be smug and think we're much better with some of the things that we've been having on British TV in the last sort of 2 decades. Let me be clear what I'm talking about. If you look at very popular shows like the X Factor, Britain's Got Talent, and I fully concede the popularity of these shows, I'm aware I'm probably in a minority, I'm aware those shows have enormous appeal, and to some extent I can understand that there is entertaining aspects to it. But I'll cite those shows, Britain's Got Talent and the X Factor, for one specific thing, and that is, if a contestant is perceived to be doing badly, they're jeered down by the crowd. Now that, to my reckoning, is collective bullying. I know other people will disagree and say, oh well, they weren't good enough, they should have tough skin, but I think that's a very, very ugly side of society, that studio audience feels the need to do that. It's a very, very ugly thing, and it to me demonstrates something very, almost sinister actually, about society. It's incredibly cruel and just... Now, I know some of the guests that go on those shows are deluded, they really have no talent and they're deluded. But then my question would be, why do they put them through? Why do they screen those auditions? And I am convinced that it's because the producers want to stir up the audience. They want these people to be publicly humiliated. The people are deluded. I don't think they know how bad they are. In which case they should be, taken out in the early stages, voted out in the early stages, and that's that. But the need to televise this nationally, televise their humiliation, I really don't see the purpose in that. And then when people jeer them down, it's just... I remember a young man once, he came on and he asked the judges some provocative questions afterwards, and he was a little bit angry, but he hadn't committed any sort of outrageous act. He was simply asking, I think I made a video about this, so I won't re-emphasize it too much. Um, and the judges started arguing with him, then the crowd started booing him off, and it was just very ugly TV footage. I really don't know how people could find that entertaining, because this isn't acting, these are people who are really going through this. And you know, it takes a lot more guts to get on that stage than to sit smugly in the studio audience and laugh at people. So I think it is collective bullying, and I think the judges knowingly encourage it. They'll of course deny that, but I strongly dispute that. I think they know what's happening there. They love the attention. They're egomaniacs, that's for sure. They love the attention, and they probably love those situations. It makes good viewing. And this is a trend on British TV. Cruelty, humiliation, unfortunately, make good viewing. They boost ratings. And it's a very sort of shallow side of humanity. Now, I am not saying we should be like monks. I'm not saying there shouldn't be any edge to television. I'm not saying that at all. I don't consider myself a Mary Whitehouse type figure. I'm not saying there shouldn't be any controversy on television. But there's a difference between being edgy and just promoting bullying, which I really believe these shows do. Two other examples. The Jeremy Kyle show, my views on that show are well established. I think Jeremy Kyle is a loathsome, loathsome human being. I think he exploits his guests for the sake of his own ego. I think he plays God whilst he himself is hardly a role model citizen. And it's just a very sick show. What Kyle does is he stirs up the emotional pain of his guests in order to boost ratings. And it doesn't matter how many people he's helped, because he's also damaged a lot of people. This example I usually cite is the time that he invited the man on to reconcile with his ex-wife, only to see that ex-wife flaunting her new lover on national television. It led to the infamous headbutting incident. But this is an example. Kyle knew that would happen, and he allowed it to happen, because he knew it would boost ratings. And for that man to have been humiliated in that way by his love rival on national television is just sick. It's profoundly cruel to mess with someone's life like that, and I think Kyle's a piece of shit. I really, really do. I'm sorry for the strong language, but I do think Kyle is a repulsive, repulsive human being. He acts God, and yet this is what he does. He stirs up people's emotional turmoil to boost his ratings. He's a thoroughly disgusting little vulture, and I really, really hate the man. I'm sincere in that. I'm not saying this for bravado. I'm not saying this to get attention. It's sincere. I despise Jeremy Kyle. I absolutely despise him and what he does. Then there's Gordon Ramsay. I've made a video about him. People have defended him, said, oh, it's just for the camera. But if that's the case, and for those who don't know, he's the Glaswegian chef. He's a celebrity chef. He's a very good cook. I give that to him. And I'm sure he's a good businessman. But I've cited this point before. There are many other successful chefs out there who do not rely on these tactics. Again, his show is famous not for his cooking, but for his confrontational style, whereby he shouts in the face of people who he's taken on. He belittles them in a very, very personal way. He goes well beyond simply criticising their cooking. He gets really personal. To me, that's outright bullying. There's no ifs, there's no buts, there's no maybes. And I know people defend it. They say the people know what they're doing. Okay, let's say you're going to justify it that way. Well, I would still argue it sends out the wrong message. It still sends out the message that to be successful you have to be a bully. That's what it does. So even if those apprentices will defend Ramsay themselves, I still think the programme is sending out the wrong message. Although, frankly, I don't know why anyone would want to be treated like that on national TV. You know, if that's what they want, that's fine. I think it's very strange, but I still think his show sends out the wrong message. And I'd say that about all these shows. That people say it's harmless TV. I strongly dispute that. That's very naive. If you think television has no influence, that's just astonishingly naive. Then there's Frankie Boyle, the so-called comedian. Unless his jokes are cruel, then his fans won't find them funny. Like he relies on cruelty. And I won't give him airtime by talking about him. But all of these examples, Dragon's Den, again, it's all based on confrontation, about belittling people. It's just this trend I've seen, and it really, really sickens me. And I just think there's no need for it. I really do. Like I say, I'm not proposing that we should be monk-like, nun-like, and have no edge to TV. I'm not saying there should be never... For example, Question Time has confrontation. I'd say that's probably more justified, because it's discussing legitimate issues that affect millions of lives with people who actually make decisions. Now, Kyle doesn't make decisions. Kyle is not a professional psychologist. He's just a self-obsessed, smug, hypocritical vulture. Ramsey may be a good chef, but that doesn't make him a good human being. I don't think he is, actually. I don't care what he does for charity. What he does in that show is just uncalled for. So yeah, this is just really reflections on what sort of area we are going down in this country, and it deeply troubles me that so many people support these sort of shows. And I know what the argument is: if you don't like it, don't watch it. Well, with that I would say this is not just television. It's not harmless. It has an impact on society. This isn't about free speech. These guys aren't, and in some cases women, aren't simply having an opinion. They're actively exploiting people. They're actively bullying people. This is actions I'm talking about, not words. And you know, I'm aware there's nothing that particularly I can do about it. All I can do is express my feelings here. Now, I'm not for a second suggesting I'm perfect. I have many faults. I have a temper problem. I have many faults. I'm often unorganized. I procrastinate. I have a temper problem. I'm not making myself out to be a great person either. But I don't exploit people. I don't... So I'm just a citizen that's pissed off that these sort of people can have so much support. And I'm expressing my right to a free expression to say how much they absolutely repulse me, and how this sort of television, I believe, is damaging to society. People can laugh, people can support me, whatever. This is my view on the matter, and I just think as a society we need to take it seriously, because it seems very hypocritical for us as a society to condemn bullying, and bullying is often spoken about and condemned, and then quite often the same people who say, oh, bullying's terrible, will go and watch these sort of shows, which really does promote it. And you know, we hold up these people like they're some sort of heroes. You know, Kyle and Ramsey and so on are invited on to talk shows. I really don't think they deserve any airtime. That's my personal opinion. I don't think we should give airtime to bullies. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. Okay, I'll leave it there. Thank you for watching.